What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Jake from Citizen JV, and today we're going to be talking about Unreal. This game initially came out in 1998, but however, it actually ended up getting an Unreal Gold expansion along with the return to Napoli as a story expansion for this game. Now, what we're going to be talking about here is a very unique game back from that year. And why 1998 was basically one of the most pinnacle eras of PC gaming history, amongst them that be the Dark Project, Unreal, or any other PC games that are far more of that type of ilk in terms of, first-person shooting aspects and concepts. Now, what I will say about Unreal 1998, however, other than the fact that, like I said, it does come with the expansion pack, so just bear through here. Now, Unreal basically had a lot of different types of rendering. The rendering for this game was very different from that of any other first-person shooters of this type of genre. Amongst Quake and Doom, because those games were initially, they are much older school titles. But with Unreal, this game was a technical powerhouse, especially on PC, because of the fact of what they were able to do with the texturizations for this game. And so basically what they had to do was they had different type of rendering. They had a different Unreal software renderer which was allowed to add such features such as richest hardware renders of its time. And it was really cool because of how they were able to do specific types of colored lighting within a limited of a form of texture filtering. And it was very interesting of how this game was really well designed in that type of concept. It was really cool. And what they were also able to do was do a thing called texture coordinate space, which was the texture filtering of Unreal. And that's why this game was very well conceptually designed of its game. And I think that's what makes this game so fascinating. Now, another thing what I want to talk about here, though, too, is that it was actually able to do different types of rendering or any kind of graphics they were able to use, like the S3 Savage 3D or the 3DFX Voodoo graphics, or they were actually able to do some sort of S3 MTEL and glide renderer. And basically they had to do different types of quality in order to maintain a proper, efficient, and balance for the game to run more properly and more smoothly. And that, to me, it totally makes sense. So that was really cool. Now, one thing I do want to put in here, though, too, is that the music in this game is very unique from other games as well. Much like from what the original Deus Ex games did. They had Dan Gardapi. He was a very highly renowned composer. They also had Andrew Sega. They had Alexander Brandon and Michael Van Den Bos. I'm sorry if I didn't do very well with that last part of that name. But they were also able to do some different types of synthesis with when it came to General Mid-Eye in the early 1990s of this game, and be able to enhance the audio and pre-rendered audio for the Epic Games, because this game was basically made on the Epic Games engine. And so I believe I think I got that wrong. It was rendered on an Unreal Engine, but Epic Games is a less common system of its module music. And that's where the module music came from, because he was able to use the FM synthesis in its General Mid-Eye in order to maintain a really good module music which was composed by some sort of type of tracker and was stored through a PCM sound cat samples of musical instruments sequenced together to produce music. And not only that, Epic was able to use any type of technology from other games such as Jazz Jackrabbit or One Must Fall 2097. And I think that's really cool, though, too. I love that. I think it's really interesting how they were able to maintain a good, proper balance and efficiency of bringing the soundtrack to life in a game, much like what Unreal does. And that's really cool. Now, another thing is the fact that this game was actually able to make use of the of a thing called Unreal 3D technology. And I think that had to do with the 3D textural design of Unreal, and that's why I feel like that this game is one of the most, it's definitely one of the most visual and more robust worlds in a game like this, because I mean, opposite of that, you know, like that of Quake or Doom or today's FPSs that we have today, you know, they're not always, sometimes they do look amazing, sometimes they can be dumbed down, but either or, Unreal just did a really good job with that type of rendering here. It's so cool. I love that. Alright. So that's pretty much it. We talked about the audio, and then we talk about the graphics of this game. Now, what I really want to do here, though, too, is that what I love about this game in general, other than what I previously explained, is that Unreal, like I said, it was the pinnacle of all FPSs, much like from Wolfenstein 3D, Doom, Quake, or any other first-person shooters, because of what I just previously mentioned, so I don't want to go back and repeat myself. I intend to do that, so my apologies. So, and the reason why I was initially going to try to do a video of my own on this, and then I decided, it's like, well, I decided to go on YouTube and, you know, like, download a couple clips from Epic Stuff for You on YouTube, and that's why I'm giving this YouTuber credit for making this video and for letting me able to use it. I did not have to get a hold of this person, him or her, to do this video. This falls under the Fair Use Act of 1976. But so all I can say is that I love this game. This game brought so many memories of its time, and it really greatly shows. And one thing I really want to put in here, though, too, I think Unreal is, it's a very interesting game, and what I want to say here, though, too, is that, you know, I don't do very well when it comes to, you know, talking about its story, but I love talking about its, you know, its visual fidelity, its audio, the technology of the game itself, because I kind of find myself very much more, I guess, tech savvy in a way to where I like talking about this kind of stuff rather than just like talking about story games, because, like I said, I don't do very well when I talk in terms of talking about story of a video game. So I just thought I'd put that out there. So Unreal, and another thing though too, what I would really like to put in here though too, is that I love this game. Still looks absolutely amazing in 2023. This game has aged very, very well. Most games from that, like, you know, like Thief the Dark Project, however, didn't age very well, very much at all. But Unreal aged very well. It did not age poorly at all. It still plays great on my PC, and, you know, I do have a PC laptop. I don't have a desktop, so, but either or, the specs that I have on my PC laptop is really, really good for the 2018 model of a Dell. But however, it's, like I said, it still looks great, and I think that's what's the most important. But one thing I want to put here, though, too, is I love the weaponry in this game. This is one thing I do greatly appreciate when it comes to first-person shooters, other than its visual fidelity and its audio fidelity and the environments per se, because usually weapons are not always going to be visually stunning or visually aesthetic in its own unique way of, you know, in terms of different types of combat capabilities. But there's a weapon in Unreal, as you see here, it's called the flat cannon or flat gun, or one of the two. And what it does, as you saw, you are able to basically, you know, shoot any kind of Scar or the Thrall or whatever kind of enemies that these creatures are. You are able to, like, do different types of modes. You have like a firing mode, and then you have like a primary mode, and then you have an alternative firing mode. And so you are able to charge your weapons like the dispersion pistol, which is really, really cool. You know, it's not like your standard pistol. I mean, it's an energy pistol to where you shoot out plasma, but you can find different types of upgrades in this game, and that's another thing that I love about this game, is that you're able to find certain types of upgrades for weapons But as far as I'm concerned, or as far as I know, is that the only thing I remember is that in Unreal, you are only able to upgrade the dispersion pistol, which is kind of a shame because I kind of wish that the other weapons that you get in this game do have an upgrading system in a unique way. But I'm sure that they do, but it's been such a long time since I played this game, so I'm just doing my best. Now, you know, there's another weapon in this game that I absolutely fell in love with, which is called the 8-ball gun. The 8-ball gun, excuse me. And the reason why they call it the 8-ball gun is because you can either do... Basically, you can fire 8 rockets at a time. Being able to obliterate your enemies at full force or whatever, and that's so... And I think that's really, really cool. That's where that's why this game really falls under not just the FPS genre, it's the fact that what this game did of its time. And that's why, like I said, you know, this game is the pinnacle of most first-person shooters that we have out there, especially when it comes on the PC market or PC gaming in general. Because, you know, we have other games that are very much similar to that on Unreal. You know, like, obviously, you know, like Doom, Quake, and all those other FPSs that we have been known to love because of the retroness or the nostalgia-ness of those. But that's where I think that this game... But that's where I feel like that Unreal does a really good job of its time because of what I previously mentioned. Because of its audio rendering, its 3D rendering, and what they were able to implementize, what they were able to do to make this game more, not just different than of an FPS, but what you can initially do in this game to make it more interesting, more robust in its own unique way, and how it just brings out the detail of a game like Unreal. And I think Unreal really captures that very absolutely amazingly. I know if that's a word or not, so my apologies on that one. So this is the reason why I like nostalgia. This is the reason why I like retro gaming, other than the gaming era that we are in now, is because, you know, when we have games like Unreal, or like Doom, or like Quake, or Wolfenstein, you have all these games, but that's where nostalgia factor is always going to set in when it comes to into the gaming community. I think it's the most important thing. But obviously, you know, a lot of people move on, obviously. But, you know, that's just not the only thing. Is the fact that, you know, when it comes to nostalgia has always been a big factor when it comes to these types of games. And I think it's absolutely amazing. Like I said, you know, I have most of the Dooms on my PC. I have most of the Quakes. I have Unreal. Obviously, I have Doom. I have all these old school games, but like I said, Unreal is one of those games where it was the stand of test of time because of what this game was able to have, different types of capabilities of what this game is actually able to do, and it's fascinating. Now, one thing I do want to talk about here, though, too, other than the weapons that I was talking about, is that this game is one of the most beautiful games I've ever played as well. You know, it had, during its time, or even in 2023, like I said, this game still has a lot of amazing set pieces. The set pieces in this game is visually stunning because, you know, you have Gateway to Napali, and then you have Napali Haven, which is what you're seeing here, and I love the world of this game, and that's where the world of this game really fits when a game like this called Unreal, because it is unreal. It's not just because of how realistic it looks, it's the fact that how the environments really brings this game together as a whole, and as a full crux of what this game actually tells you of what kind of a game it is. And I think that's just absolutely fascinating. I mean, you have different types of levels too, and that's where I love the level design. I think opposite that of Thief the Dark Project, the level design in this game is one of the best I've seen from that of the old school titles, much like Thief Deadly Shadows, or much like Thief the Dark Project, or like Doom, Quake, and all the other FPSs that we've had in the previous years. But I think, however, when it comes to Unreal, though, this game it's visually stunning. It's amazing what they were able to do with the technology at the time, but back in 1998, and being able to initiate what this game was able to do. And it's fascinating. And that's why I like to talk about more on the technology side of things when it comes to games in particular, or even Unreal, because it's like I said, I'm very visual, and when it comes to visuals, to me, I always think that when it comes to games in general, I really think that whether if it's a first-person shooter or not, gameplay is always going to be a must for most people, and it's the same thing for me. But when it comes to a game like Unreal, though, it's the visualization of what this game can do, and it's astonishing. It's amazing, and I love it. I find it fascinating, and so that's all I can say about that. But what I want to put here real quick, though, too, is the fact that I think Unreal still holds up as of today in 2023. Like I said, its visual fidelity is still one of the best I've seen, and it's amazing of how far we've come when it comes to the FPSs, whether if you're on the PC market or on the console market, or vice versa. So I think it's just absolutely amazing. But anyways, too much further ado, if you have any types of comments or questions, please feel free to put them in the comment section below. I'd be more than happy to reply back if and whenever possible. And this is Jake from Citizen JV. I really appreciate it. And you guys have a good rest of your weekend. Peace.
Keep it up.